halfway through my competition prep, 8 weeks in, 8 weeks out. I figured this is a phenomenal time to go through some of the questions that you guys have asked me on my Instagram over the last 8 weeks. So let's get to it. Hello, strong friends. We are sitting down for a little Q&A today. Now, I have 6 really good questions that I want to go through. I am going through them as quickly as possible and as very detailed as possible. So getting right into it, the first question, and I have these on my screen so I can make sure that I'm on track. Why bikini as opposed to figure or wellness? In short, I'm fucking small. I'm very tiny. I have a very small frame. I am about 5'6". I always thought I was 5'7", but apparently I'm 5'6". I am averaging about 120 pounds. I am up right now. Before that, I was obviously down. So 115 to 125 is my range. I have a very small frame. Wellness is very lower body dominant. I would say a lot of like the Latina cultures like really thrive in wellness. If I went on there, they would just completely like kick my ass. I would not look good. I would not fit at all. I would need to likely develop an extra probably 15 pounds of muscle onto my lower body if I wanted to do wellness. And then if I wanted to do figure, that is even more kind of extreme. I would have to probably put on like 30 pounds of total body mass. I do not have the physique for that, nor do I care to push my physique to that level. I'm sure I could if I really wanted to, but to be honest, I really don't want to. So I like bikini. It is a much softer look. It is more in line with my current lifestyle, which I actually really enjoy it. I am still working on fitting the criteria of that category a little bit better. So I'm developing my glutes. I'm still working on developing my shoulders, but I enjoy bikini. It is, in my opinion, it's a little bit more sustainable. It's less aggressive than trying to cut and diet down quite as hard as wellness, figure, even fitness competitors to get to that certain level of leanness and muscularity. How are you incorporating rest days, cardios, and or refeeds? My training split right now is 3 days on, 1 day off. So I am resting usually 2 days a week. That's basically how it sets up. I am not currently doing, technically I'm doing cardio, but not really doing cardio. I have no programmed cardio, but I do have a minimum of 10,000 steps a day, which is easy for me. I usually average between like 12 to 15,000 steps on a day. Just so yes, there is, I guess, cardio involved, but it's not like go on the treadmill or go on the Stairmaster and burn like 300 calories. It's just like my daily lifestyle. So my coach has said just to make sure that I'm maintaining that, just so we have consistency. No refeeds because I am not currently in a caloric deficit. I personally don't really enjoy refeeds. I'm not really one for them to kind of like to overeat. I find refeed days are beneficial when you are in a hard caloric deficit and there is a specific goal in mind. So I am not in that position. I'm just coming out of a caloric surplus right now. So I have no benefit in my goals or my physique or my programming right now. I would not benefit from a refeed. Do you have nutritional timings of things, and is that important in prep? Yes, that is important in prep. So it's not necessarily nutrient timing, but I am on a meal plan. So I am eating the same thing at the same time every day. It is very consistent. I am eating easier to digest carbs pre and post workout. I am eating more carbs pre and post workout. I am keeping my protein intake consistent throughout all of my meals in the day. And those aren't things that necessarily change when I'm in prep or out of prep. And those are the same things that I usually recommend with my clients anyway. Nutritional timing is of lesser importance than total calories and then being specific with macronutrients. Then you can get into things like nutrient timing and things like supplements as well. So my nutrient timing is actually more or less the same as if I'm in competition prep or if I'm not in competition prep. I don't change it that much. So it is important. Again, it is of lesser important than total macros and your total overall daily caloric intake that you are getting. There can be some more benefits, but I'm gonna say the amount of benefits, like if you were to eat fast digesting carbs pre and post workout and spacing your protein out throughout all of your meals in the day, those things can make a difference, but a very, very small difference. So it's not that if you eat slower digesting carbs after you work out, or if you have more protein at one meal than the other, it's not that you are like not gonna make progress. It's just kind of taking things to the next level. When I'm in competition prep, it's like the very, very small fine tuning details of everything, and then just making sure that it is consistent. So it's important in my prep, but it's not of more importance during my prep than if it's like off season or if I'm not in prep. Mental and emotional journey. I feel like, so technically this is my third prep, and this will only be my second competition because this time last year I was prepping and then was not able to compete, obviously because of the pandemic and with COVID, which I look back and I think this time last year I was making these YouTube videos with competition prep, and I'm like, nothing's gonna happen, it's gonna be fine, I'm gonna fly to Canada, we're all good. Little did I know. So my mental journey, the emotional journey, I guess, comes with it, but the mindset, and I feel like my mindset grew and developed the most during my prep last year. I did 21 weeks last year with the whole pandemic happening, staying at home, hip thrusting like 4 times a week on my couch, and I pushed through that knowing that I was not going to compete because I still wanted to follow through. And I figure if I can get through that, I can probably get through a lot of things. So it was a huge challenge. My mindset has absolutely grown, and I have talked about this in some of my last podcasts, and I talk about this a lot on my Instagram, is my mindset from my first competition to my second competition and then to this competition has changed drastically, and it's been almost 2 years. So it has changed a lot, and it's always developing, and I totally believe that our mindset needs to constantly be evolving and constantly be developing in order for us just to be better humans, not alone, not just competitors, but absolutely as humans as well. So my mental and emotional journey, this wasn't really a question, but my mental and emotional journey has absolutely developed. I feel like there is less emotion involved, and it's more like this needs to happen, not like, I don't feel like working out, or I'm tired today, or I'm extra hungry. Like that, all that stuff's off the table. And that was off the table well before I got into these kind of competitions. It was just a mindset that I developed like years ago. Share the biggest struggles you have with prep. Mindset. I've talked about my powerlifting ego gets in the way with my training. I've talked about how it is very difficult for me to push in training because I put so much into it, where there will be sessions and I will basically have tears at the end of it because I just push myself so much, and it's like, it fucks up my mind. Having balance, which I feel like I've absolutely overcome that in the last couple of years, and my now fiance, he knows, he was with me through the first competition prep, so he gets it, but from my first competition prep until now, there has been a lot of changes. So I have learn to have better balance and being less freaky outy. We both have a very clear understanding of what needs to happen and when it needs to happen. So communication, I'll get to that in a moment. I think one of the biggest struggles, and I recently talked about this, I think, or maybe I was just thinking about it. One of the biggest struggles, it's not the training and it's not the nutrition, it's the organization. It's the organization of looking at your training program the whole week before and getting your mindset wrapped around what you need to do. It's being organized in terms of, you need to go to bed at this time, you need to say no to some things, and you need to understand when sacrifices need to be made. Understanding and being organized when it comes to meal prep. So I know that every weekend I travel, and I travel to another city to go see my fiance, and we travel and we hang out at the beach house. I know that on Friday there needs to be a lot of work done in order of getting organized in terms of my workflow schedule, because my work still absolutely has to happen, and being organized with my meal prep. All of that needs to be done in order for me to execute for the following days. So it's not just following a meal plan. It's not just beating the logbook and training. It's being organized with every single thing, making sure that if I am gonna go to a resort or if I'm gonna travel a little bit, that I am absolutely prepared, and I'm not going to let silly little things that I know are preventable and in my control to happen. For example, if I'm gonna go out on adventures with friends or I'm gonna go on the boat, I know that I need to prepare enough sunscreen. I know that I need to have like a big ass jug of water with me, because I'm not gonna say, oh, I didn't have water on the boat, I got dehydrated, or oh, I didn't plan ahead because I got sunburned. I need to be so fucking organized, like over-organized, in order to make sure that I am absolutely executing every single thing that I need to with precision, accuracy, detail, like not even the slightest minuscule excuse is possible. So my biggest struggle that I have is making sure that I am so beyond organized and preparing for the things that I don't know how to prepare for. That is a huge struggle. I don't know if that really answered the question, but I think it did. And the last question, this is like absolutely my favorite. Tips for boyfriends when their girlfriends are in contest prep. Just thinking ahead for myself. I think the biggest tip for any relationship when someone goes into a prep like this is clear communication and understanding. Now, I can use this as an example because when I first started dating my boyfriend at the time, he watched me through my first competition. So he's kind of been through it all, so he gets it. But having clear communication in terms of like me telling him or the competitor telling their significant other, this is what I need to do for this amount of time. This is why it's very important to me and I need your support. And I believe this goes like with anything, is just having clear communication and making sure that the significant other understands what's going on and why. Respect is so important, and having boundaries. I talk about having boundaries all the time. So for me, a good situation was a couple weeks ago, we had gone out and we quickly stopped at the grocery store and we were just about to go home. And I have my meal prep, like I'm fine with it. I do not have temptations or cravings. Like if someone put ice cream in front of me, I'd be like, cool, whatever. I was pretty hungry at that point. I was about like an hour behind on my meal, which was fine. We went into the store, we picked up some groceries, and he grabbed a bag of chips. And we were driving home and he was eating the chips. And they smelled so fucking good. And I was like, please, I love you, but can you like just not have those chips in front of me? And little things like that, even though the competitor might be on prep and might be in a plan and stuff, and the food might not be off limits, like things like that aren't an option. And being really, really supportive is so fucking important. And it's not that like, say it is the boyfriend that's watching and the girlfriend is the competitor. It's not that the boyfriend needs to get why they're doing it or necessarily to encourage it. Like if the girlfriend wants to be a competitor, that's totally fine. It's not that the boyfriend needs to be like, oh, well, she's doing this certain pose because of this and she's eating this food because of this result. It's not about things like that. It's having that clear communication and the clear understanding that like, I love you, I want to do everything I can to support you, and as long as you're happy and you're going to compete and you're really happy, that's all I care about. And just having like really, really clear communication. Like again, my boyfriend didn't know what the fuck I was doing. He came to watch the competition and he asked my best friend like, so what like what's happening? And my best friend was like, I don't really know. But it's just the encouragement and the support, and having the support, having the clear communication, and having some kind of understanding and respect is so, so important. Also, tips for the boyfriend is to make sure that your girlfriend is set up for success as much as we know possible. So make sure that she's going into this competition and she's going into this prep with a good mindset. If there are problems or situations that are going on and this competition prep like makes things worse, then chances are it's probably not a good prep and you kind of need to back out of that. Also, the competitor should have a pretty good coach who understands them much before the actual prep starts to happen. So having a really good relationship with the coach to know that like, yes, I know that my girlfriend is working with this coach and I absolutely trust this coach, and this coach isn't going to put her in a ridiculous caloric deficit so that she's going to feel like super grumpy and angry and I'm gonna have to deal with that for 16 weeks. Like that's just not good. So again, clear communication, making sure that the competitor is in a really good mindset and position, whether it's financial, emotional, whatever it is, before any prep starts. So maybe sitting down and having the conversation beforehand and being like, hey girlfriend, if you're gonna compete, what do you expect or what do you need from me? Again, it all comes down to clear communication. I hope that helps. So just a little shorty, but I hope this was beneficial. 6 awesome questions. I've talked a lot more on my Instagram with a lot of questions that you guys have had, but I am gonna go through and save a bunch of questions over the next 8 weeks as I wrap up and get closer to the stage, which I'm super excited for. Thank you for watching. This is part 8, and as for the pasta, we'll talk later.